I'm sure he hears that a lot, you think?
I might not be the first person to bring it up.
So let me know.
Good, yeah. All right. So I'll start off just a little intro. We have Pups that's about to start. I actually have the flyer behind you on that TV. We have a few different showings. It's going to be Tuesday, February 27th, Wednesday the 28th, and Thursday the 29th. Show begins at 6:30. It's kind of like a Harry Potter spin-off. You know, everybody likes Harry Potter. Well, my generation loves Harry Potter. We had our wonderful theater students make this promo that we've been showing here getting started. We're going to push that out on social media that they made. The students are really excited. They all love the Harry Potter, you know, kind of jokes and spin-off and trying out the British accents and everything. So it's been a whole lot of fun. A lot of our students are doing a lot of awesome stuff, and you're going to see lots of teacher cameos throughout the show. So I highly suggest you come to see some wonderful acting from both teachers and students. So, do you have any questions about Puffs, anything? $10 for adults, $5 for students. Okay, I'm going to shut this off so it's not talking the whole meeting. Or at least turn it down for y'all.
To you, Ellen, since you went, do you want to give them a little piece of information about the Thespian Festival?
Oh, sure, I can do that. We had an awesome time at Thespians. I think we had 17 students go. We had a lot of students get called back for scholarship interviews. We had a couple students get offered scholarships. Zachary Phillips, who's been the guy talking on the screen there, that's him right there, and Zadie, both were offered scholarships. We had Zach won Best in Class for Improv award, and that's like best for the whole state of Arkansas. Like that's a huge award, improv competition that his group won. We had a ton of students get superior ratings. Kaya Irwin, and I'm not going to be able to name them all. Mateo Ford, Rowan, I know I'm going to forget somebody, but we had lots of students that got superior ratings, which is the highest rating that you can get. We also had a lot of students get excellent, which is the level right underneath. And I was speaking with Mr. Haynes, and we were talking about like percentage-wise of how big our school and our thespian troupe is. We are way out hitting some of our bigger school districts if you're talking about percentage-wise of our number of our students compared to like the awards and things we're winning. Our theater department, Jordan Haynes and Alex Fry are kicking it out of the park with our students. And I mean, seriously, they had some of the best work, and theater is in my background. And I'm not just saying that because it's our kids, legitimately had some of the best work I've seen from high school students. So I can give you a more detailed update at some point if y'all like that, but it was amazing to watch these kids and also just great behaved. I have to throw that out there. So I'm super proud of them.
Good, thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Ellen. Okay, Mr. Plant.
All right, so I'm Mr. Plant. I do East at the elementary school. And what I'm going to do first is I've got Maggie Carruthers over here. She's going to talk to you about just a couple of quick projects we're doing. While she's doing that, I'm going to set up a slideshow.
Okay. I am getting you pulled up here.
So, we have noticed in the cafeteria, some kids weren't getting recognized if they had an allergy until it was a bit too late. Nurse Katie did solve this problem earlier in the year, but she made little badges that clip on to your badge, so lunch waiters couldn't see it over the counter. But we made two little things, and we're planning on making another one that will clip onto your lanyard. First, we have a cow for any dairy issues. We have a yellow acorn for any nut issues. And we are planning on making a red medical cross for any other medical issues. And this was all done by third graders.
How did you guys do it? Was it a 3D printer?
Yep. Yes.
Cool.
Oh,
That is amazing.
All right, thank you, Maggie. All right, so very quickly, while y'all are looking at that, and y'all may want to turn around and look on the board behind you. This is called the Wellington Engagement Index. Wellington is a school up in Ohio. They came up with a different way to measure what students do. This is not like our standardized testing where one size fits everybody. Wellington, the tool they use measures whether or not students are engaged in the classroom. So what we want to know is we want to know what their experience is. With a standardized test, I can pull up Maggie's scores and I know exactly what Maggie scored. With Wellington, I do not know what any individual student does. I want to look at it as a total group. This is what I'm looking for. All of the kids get a series of questions, and the question is usually one word: East, math, science, ELA, PE, essentials. All we ask them about is their class. And they choose in 4 categories. If you look across the middle line there, on the far left, they don't like it. They hate the class. We get very few dots over that far. On the other side, we have love it. And then if you look at going up and down, up top is challenged. On the bottom, it is unchallenged. So what you do is you find your spot on each of those axes, and wherever the dots intersect, or the lines intersect, that's where your dot goes. We want everybody to be engaged, okay? They love the class and they think they're learning because they're getting a challenge out of it. You can all obviously see if it goes down to entertain, they like the class, but they're not really getting into it. We don't want them to be bored by any means because then they don't like it and they're not learning. And if they're in the grind, they're learning, but they're not having a good time. Okay, they're just kind of having to go through the motions. These are my first 2 sets of dots from East class. If you'll notice, you can see the big blue diamonds. That's what we want to focus on because that's the class average. Okay? Remember what I said about, like with Maggie, I'm not interested in an individual student. Because sometimes you're going to have individuals get way up here. You may have one that gets aggravated at me, or, you know, the cat scratched them that morning or something, and they're going to score it way down low. So the top one that you see, that was the first dot collection we did this year. Okay? Everything was pretty good. If you look at the second set of dots, which is the 3 along the bottom, nearly everything went up. The only thing that didn't, my 5th grade East, the challenge went down by 2 points. That's not a big deal. As long as we're within 2 or 3, we're fine. That could have been 1 kid that didn't show up. But the loving it and the challenge went up everywhere else. 34 to 47 in the first one, and in the last one, 28 to 43, which was a huge jump for my 6th graders. I was really pleased with that. When we look at this, we see what all of our dots look like. On the bottom down here, this is the East class. This is what you just looked at. This is everything put together. Now, on what I just showed you, you're looking at a scale from -150 to +150. When you see the pie chart, now we're talking about percentages. So I can look, and after 2 dot collections, I know that 80% of my students were in the engaged section. Okay? I know that, I'm reading that right, about 15% were entertained. 1% was in, I believe that's board, and 3% were in the grind. I've actually seen my 3rd dot collection. It's not on here because I do it 2 at a time. We went way up. We jumped way up on everything. We jumped up farther than I ever thought we would at one time. So I was very pleased with that. And you can see, like down there on the bottom, what the trajectory is. We were moving up there, and we made a very vertical jump the next time. The top one up there, that is what the other classes at AAA Elementary do. Okay, now this is just 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. This is their core classes and essentials. They are actually still in pretty good shape. You've got about 46% that are engaged. Okay, that is not a bad number. Okay, anytime we're in that range, we're pretty close to the average of what this stuff is going to look like. I know when we talk percentages, that doesn't sound like a high percentage, but that's actually very, very close to what you're going to see other students do. One more time, this is just what the aggregate looked like. This is when you put everything together where we come up with 80%. We jumped from a 76 to an 83. And I think right now after the third dot, that was about 84, 85. So we have done dot collection number 4, and I'm really looking forward to getting those results back here in the next week or so. Okay, that is what Wellington does. I started this with East. We started it 5 or 6 years ago. And the school I used to be at, we piloted this and got some really good feedback. Again, it's something that I really enjoy. And if anybody ever wants to see it more in depth, I can go much more in depth. I just don't want to do that here.
How many students are participating in these?
65.
Okay.
We've got roughly 15 or 16 in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And then K1 and 2, they rotate in for 2 weeks. And then they go to their other essentials for, I guess, there's 5 groups, so it would be 8 weeks. And then they come back to me. We're starting our second rounds with everybody right now.
And is there an opportunity, so when I was looking at the engagement for East participants and non-East participants, even though the non-East was good, it wasn't the East participant
Right.
level. And so is there a way that we're looking at either being able to grow the East program so more students have the opportunity to deepen that level of engagement?
That is something that,
And that data too, when they're talking about core, it says only East students took this. So it's how the East students feel about their non-core as it relates to East.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, we've had conversations about looking into being able to do this with all of our kids because it's really interesting data.
you know, this is, obviously I like it. I would like to see us do this with every kid, 3rd grade up through 12th, just to get an idea on what they do.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Plant. This is a testament to not only your professionalism as a teacher, for you to show your own test results.
Yes, ma'am.
It's very impressive. And secondly, as our second year in East, not even a year and a half
Right.
in East, the progression that you've taken it to is amazing. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Like I said, the kids are the ones that work hard. And I didn't say this, but this one and 9 others, and I think 6 here in the high school, we are less than a month away from going to our East Conference, where we'll present all of this stuff in front of 3,000 people as they walk by. So we are very excited about that. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right. It is 6:04, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. Let's establish a quorum and do a roll call. Mr. Irvine?
Mark Evans?
Cynthia Cochran.
Kara Riley.
Allison Neal Malone.
Adrienne McGinnis. Emily Moline.
All right. Pledge of allegiance. We out there? All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Item number 4, district updates.
So I'm going to briefly mention a few things, and then I'm going to let some of my colleagues speak briefly as well. I can't remember if I talked to you about this during our work session or not, but I applied for us, and it was a team effort to submit the data for us to be a part of the Charter Growth Fund. It's a seed growth fund. We've been accepted into the semifinal round. And so the next step is they're going to be coming and doing some site visits. We've got more information to share, and then they'll announce sort of their charters they are interested in investing in towards the end of May. So I'm really excited that we are now into the next round of consideration. It's a big step, and really excited about that. We are continuing with our National Art Museum school planning. Aaron Jones, Katie Bowis, Amy Kessler are working on the itinerary for what that day will look like. They're going to come in the evening of the May 8th and kind of have a little social gathering, which I'll give you more information of if you were interested in meeting with them. They will come in along with some of our community partners and just kind of a meet and greet. And then they'll spend the whole day, the next day, May 9th, touring both campuses, meeting with staff and students, and then they'll end their day at Crystal Bridges with the night at the museum, watching student performances.
Awesome.
So we're really excited about that tour. Again, this is unprecedented for the state, and we're really honored to have them join us. Our child nutrition, we're chugging along. We had a visit from the Department of Education on, where we took a look at both campuses and the kitchens, and they felt like we were doing a really good job, which was great to see since we've been kind of reconfiguring what that looks like. So it was good feedback, and we have placed in hand a kitchen manager who was lead at this kitchen. He's going to be overseeing kind of both places, so he's doing an extraordinary job. We were approached by the Northwest Council about our interest in a recycling program. And so what that looks like for us, and Dr. Riley, you'll be very pleased about this, is they're going to give us some containers to recycle. Cardboard, we're going to start with cardboard, but also we're going to go into food waste. So they're going to get us some containers, and they're going to be red, and they're going to be at both kitchens, where we're going to teach kids how to recycle their food and the food waste, and then also piece out and recycle the other components of their, silverware and all the things that aren't recyclable. And then they're going to come and flip that. So this is a grant from the Family Foundation through the Northwest Arkansas Council, and they selected us. So we're really excited about entering into that. They came and did a preview of our kitchens. They looked at sort of some of our utensils and some of our paperware that we're using to evaluate, is it biodegradable, or kind of, we're costing out now, because of course it's the cheaper it is, the less it is that you can actually, biodegrade, but we're also going to cost that out and see if that's something, so we have a completely recyclable operation. The counselors I met with the counselors this week, and we are looking at some survey data that we sent out to students. We sent out to some parents, well, all parents, and we sent out to both elementary staff and high school staff as far as kind of what kids are seeing from their counselors and what they would like to see as far as small group time, large group time. Do we know who your counselor is? Do I know how to reach out? All those kind of things. So that feedback, we're pulling it in, and we're looking at a counseling program. So the next time that we meet, I'll present to you something the counselors have put together as a proposal of how we're going to move forward with our counseling program. And what's great about this is we're looking at data, and it's data-driven decisions that we're making based on what our needs are at the schools. Last but not least, our high impact tutoring grant, we're in the process of moving forward with that. We received the funding from the Department of Education, and we are looking at how that begins to roll out. We'll have some information on kind of a kickoff for those students that are going to be invited to participate with tutors that we're going to acquire from our community. And then we've got a tutoring program that's going to be a little bit more of a hybrid model for the high school. So we've got an incredible gifted person working with us on managing the tutoring, getting us started. So we're really excited to get that started as well, just in time for some of our testing to happen. Really quickly, we don't have a whole lot as far as new hires. We're proceeding on with our lottery. We go up until next Friday was our last day, and then the poll is the last week of February. And then I'm going to let my colleagues begin.
We don't have a big pool in kindergarten. Is there anything we can do to kind of?
We put out flyers to the preschools. The last look we had, what was the number? We looked at that today.
7 maybe? It was the last one. Was that February 2nd?
We're keeping the class at 80. So it's 60.
Yeah, 67.
It's
Or we were February 2nd?
We're not, well, we're low. The upside of of that is with the 67, with what we've got to continue forward, we're going to begin to fill some of our gaps that we've had. So we'll send out the intent to return, or I sent that out, and it was like a 98% return of the students that we have. Granted, decisions will be made after the fact, but of the students.
Our current enrollment is 60 in kindergarten right now.
Oh, but if we have a cap of 80,
That
do we
would
have
be-
space for those extra 80, or are we
I
leaving?
mean, we would have 20 kids per each of our 4 classes. Right now, we're sitting at 15, 16, 17 per class. Which if we're going to be low in a grade, please, kindergarten.
Oh, for sure. Sure. I just didn't know if it was changing our plans at all, having it 67 with a max of 80.
Yeah, I mean,
Some of our siblings, they pretty much have a guaranteed spot, so they're a little slower to sign up.
Respond.
so we are continuing to push forward. Ms. Morgan will talk more about some of our recruitment efforts and some of the benefits of that when she gets up. But we are seeing the beginnings of a positive turn as far as high school enrollment and what that looks like. And it, as we know, it's going to take a minute to make the full swift shift, but we're headed in some right directions. High school, do you want to talk about your teacher of the month and students of the month?
I'll let you do the student. I'd like to recognize our lady that wasn't able to be here last month. So our December staff of the month, if y'all remember, I accepted this award on behalf of Ms. Darla Sullivan, and the staff unanimously chose her. So she was having another job. Remember, I told you that, and we had to adjust our board meeting. So I want to present this the correct way because you are so deserving of this. A difference since the first day of school even. She keeps us on task. She keeps us organized. She keeps us moving forward, all of us. She keeps the supplies for all the teachers, the communication straight. And she sets the culture and tone for so many of our families to come in. Everything is a sweetheart, let me help you this. And our children love her, our staff love her, and our families do too. So we're very lucky to have her. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Darla, let's take a picture of you.
Very, very deserving. Up here with the board.
Yeah, we'll be here in front. Put a T up your next one while we're doing this, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna tee up the next one.
Susan, go.
Squeeze. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you.
Do you guys want to stay until she gets her next one ready?
Well, my next one wasn't able to come.
Oh.
Yes, so we might do her next month, but it is Erin Haymaker for the month of January. Ellen, would you like to help me talk about Erin? She has led a lot of effort at the high school with our special education department. And at the last minute, she had to call us, and she was very disappointed that she had a family thing come up that required her presence on it. So Erin has been a leader in our high school, not just in the special ed department, but also in our general ed department as well. She has brokered for students and the services and supports that they need around their individual education plans. What have I left out about Erin? I work close with her.
Our teacher of the month is voted on by the rest of our staff members. And a lot of the things that our teachers were saying was that how she's coming in and truly trying to implement a true co-taught model. Like she's trying to get in there and not just push into the classroom, but she's trying to plan with the teachers. She's teaching them specific supports per student. And then she's going in and she's implementing teaching in the classroom too in a true co-taught model, meaning sometimes when you walk in the room, you don't know who's the sped teacher and who's the real teacher or real general ed teacher. So going in there, so she's walking, you'll walk in and maybe she's teaching part of the math lesson and you don't even know that she's the special ed teacher that's in there helping kids, because she's not only supporting special ed students, she's supporting all students. And the rest of the staff recognizes that that is happening. And so she was like second place a lot of the months leading up to this month. And then finally she kicked over and we were all super excited watching the data because she's been at top tier voting over the past few months. And so she's more than deserving for it.
We're very lucky to have Erin, very lucky. She's a difference maker.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
For the students of the month, I have that here. So 7th grade, we have Joseph Cathcart. Savannah Dale, 8th grade. Arlie Dumont for 9th. Madeline Dardine for 10th. Janie Kirkpatrick for 11th. And Savannah Mobley for 12th. For our students.
Do we need to do our elementary?
Yes, so our employee of the month is Miss Chris Stephenson. She is a paraprofessional, and she was voted for by our staff by the largest margin of any person that's received the award so far since we've been voting. She had multiple people nominate her. Some of the things they said is that she goes above and beyond. She works tirelessly with kids. If you walk down the K-3 hallway, she's going to have a group of kids out there working with them. And if there's ever anything that we need help with, if there's like a little scuffle in a classroom or something that they need help with in K-3, she's there in a heartbeat. She is always in the middle of it. And she's amazing. She's also currently working on getting her certification transferred from Brazil because she's a certified and licensed teacher in Brazil. But getting things transferred from another country is takes quite a lot of effort. But we're so lucky to have Chris, and everyone at the school loves and appreciates her. So she's our staff. Yeah, they're
The middle, Chris.
they do it.
Such a fancy.
Oh, that's Please.
Every time.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
And you're good too. And those are our terrific kids. I don't have the list of their names with me. But we're gonna pull it up.
I can pull it up there, or do you prefer to?
Would y'all like for me to read the list of our terrific? Or you get to look at their sweet little faces?
I'm happy. Sweet little faces. I think our next section is Erin for Arts Inspiration. Erin, Mr. Jones.
Am I coming up?
Your art. Well,
It's up to you.
there's a section for you if you want to talk. Or if you
So
don't.
this amazing arts integration thing that we're doing, how about that? So I did send a sheet. I'm sorry, I thought I didn't have it kind of with me. Look at that! Hey, here we have. So these were just some kind of highlights of things that are kind of going on, especially over here at the high school. So Ms. Wasserman was working with her students, and we have some incredible talented students, of course. And so she was like, hey, a cell, and we were looking at animal as well as plant. Students get things kind of confused. How do you then memorize and do these things? Well, by rote memory and by able to kind of building these sorts of things and using things to show how, whether you're doing a two-dimensional art or a three-dimensional art, you incorporate one of these standards from the arts to kind of go together. And so that's what they did. Unfortunately, if you have a chance, I think they're still there, right? They go down probably tomorrow. So on your way out, you can see all of them because we're getting ready for Freedom Speaks. And then the puffs are coming. I hope you have a chance to kind of do that. And Ms. Ray's Mural Club is knocking it out of the park because they are helping with the building of all this. They're going to be doing some faux painting, some trompe-l'oeil, which means to fool the eye for those of you that speak French. Oui. And so it is looking really, really, really wonderful. You may have seen our crystal bridges. That tied up very recently. If you remember at the beginning of the semester, we were talking about with Annie Leibovitz. So over 1,000 all over Northwest Arkansas participated, and it was pretty rigorous. I'm not going to lie. So it ended up being around 400, 330 something, but they did stick with it. We ended up having quite a few students. We had 30% of our school start with it. And I don't remember the final number of however many we had, but they had at Crystal Bridges a wonderful reception for them to be there, get a book that is now published from Crystal Bridges with their work. They had music, they had, yes.
I've seen the book, like I've held it for just a second.
Yes.
Can
It's like
we still
gold,
buy
yes.
copies or there are no more?
We are still working on. They had like the sell and then it was quick, but I have a feeling they're gonna kind of bring it back because parents.
Let us know if
You
they
know,
did. Because I
aunts and
only got to
uncles are gonna go,
see
well,
it.
nobody told me, and so that's exactly what's going to kind of happen. So after all of our wonderful little kind of events, we are gonna be looking at having another kind of closing opportunity to kind of have a focus of these students who did make it through to kind of say, hey, really look at these. Because if you did go and see it, their works were kind of a little small, so we're gonna like blow it up and go, hey, this is what they did. So proud of them, and that was a great opportunity. And there is a documentary. That's what I was thinking of. So there's a link there if you want to go see the documentary. It's on YouTube as well as on the website. Rogers Historical Museum. Oh my goodness. So I'm so excited. For those of you that have been here for a while, you know that we have the My School My Museum deep dive at Crystal Bridges. So I've been trying to do this with museums forever to kind of like, okay, Amazium, we're going to do this, have the curriculum, have these sort of things. So I've been bothering Joel Taylor in 6th grade for a really long time. And so if you've ever worked with Joel, you just know how much he is so excited about social studies. And so when we started working together with Arts Integration, I was like, you know, these could be artifacts. He's like, ooh, so we make these little artifacts. And so I reached out to the Rogers Historical saying, hey, is there a way that we could have one of your areas to be able to kind of make this an exhibition night so that we were doing something with a different grade? 4th grade does this, 6th grade does this, and we'll kind of do this. So we piloted last year. And so this year, all of 6th grade are going to be a part of it. So it's been wonderful. So they got their first chance to kind of go out there, learn how an exhibition has been put together, and stay tuned. At the end of the semester in May, you are going to be invited to an exhibition night out at Rogers Historical Museum, which is pretty fantastic. And then I think that might be it. Is that it? No, it's not it. So lastly, this is going to be February 16th through the 17th. Which is this week, right? There's lots of things going on. The Youth Maker Market. So I've also mentioned about our partner with the Amazium. For those of you that kind of grown up with the Amazium, now they're growing up too. I'm very excited because we're like, kids go a certain way and they're like, wah, 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 I don't get to go anymore. Well, now they're kind of like, hey, middle school and high school. So they came to Arkansas Arts Academy. They offered one of the conferences, and then we were a location for conferences for the community to go to. And so now the kids get to kind of make something and sell it at this time. And I don't remember how many are doing it. I do know Robin has been, what's Robin's last name? Robin. Yes, didn't we? Yes. Robin, our amazing artist, is come up with a concept that I think should go on Shark Tank. And I bet you she gets it. So she's going to start it here. So go out and take a look at it. And I know it's post-Christmas, but belated St. Patrick's Day gifts. So that's what it is.
Early
So,
Mother's Day.
amazing teachers, amazing students. And this is just all kind of pretty extraordinary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I realized that we didn't actually finish the district update stuff. Beth Scott, did you have some stuff to tell us?
I have a little bit to tell you. So when Dr. Roberts asked me to come up here and talk, I was like, I can't really pin down all the things I want to talk about. But today was an exciting day for me. because our district has completed the special education monitoring. So it opened on January 16th, and we scrutinized over paperwork. We got it all done. And today was supposed to be my celebration day, but I've been stressed about this thing all night tonight, having to talk at this meeting. So tomorrow, maybe I will celebrate. But I've heard from the State Department a couple of times, and they are very, they have told me some really nice things about the way it looks so far. And so it takes a lot of time to keep all that in check and make sure we get all the T's crossed and the I's dotted. And our SPED team has done this fantastic job this year of helping me out with that and making sure that we keep on top of the paperwork. It's a boring job, I know, for me to talk about paperwork, and a boring job for y'all to listen, but it's a big part of federal funding, and if we don't do it right, then we get slapped on the hand. And last year when I came in, the year I came in, we had just had a monitoring, and it was like kind of a hot mess. And so we spent that year correcting the action plan, and we did it all and got cleared of that. So maybe they might find something. I hope they don't, but if they do, they're probably trying to do their job really well and find something that they want to talk about. But I'm hoping that it won't nearly look like it did before. So I'm excited about it. I'm glad it's over. Thank goodness.
When does that report come back?
Well, they have 3 months to look everything over.
Of course.
And then if anything's wrong, they'll give us a notification. I do know that she's already looking at my stuff because I've seen her. She puts little notes in and things like that. So I've been kind of able to keep up with it. So, but it's been really good stuff so far. So I'm hoping that, I'm hoping for a nice letter. And then I think that just an update about what my job and my role is as far as over there in that back office tucked away. I do a lot of things with Medicaid. I try to keep up with, I've kind of just taken that over. That's become my new little baby right now. So I'm trying to build that process back up and not being, I know it from a therapist side because I used to do it myself, but from a billing side and keeping our program up and running with more and more billing, it's, been a long process to learn, but another boring job that I do with. But I try to keep it really nice and tight over there so that we can reap the benefits for our therapy students with the Medicaid billing. And then I also have kind of passed off the 504 stuff. The assistant principals have taken it, which has been a nice change. I think it's good for them to have it because it's, there's a lot of things that go along with it, with the behavior and with the kids at the school setting and that type of thing. So I've tried to be a support for them so far as they're taking over, and Aaron and Jamie have done a fabulous job of getting it going and getting it transferred over to them. So I'm more than happy to help anytime though. So 504 and Medicaid and IEP due process is my biggest role. And I kind of wrote down a little week at a glance in your notes that you get to look at. So I thought it would be kind of fun to see what all I did, and I was kind of all over the place in my notes, what I do during the week. But we are also working hard on our dyslexia program, and I feel like we've got a really good handle on it right now. We've got some really good providers of the program. The program at the high school is being led by the SPED department, 3 of them, and then Kyle, we hired him as a teacher, and then he became a para, and now he's back to do Spire. So he's doing a great job, and Ellen is helping them a lot at the high school level with it. And Erin McGar at the elementary, she's doing a great job of helping with the students at the elementary school. So I'm kind of like a liaison for them. I kind of try to get a hold of the program. I try to get a hold of the reps and answer any questions that they're asking for. But we're seeing some good data come back. We're seeing levels go up. We're seeing, I think Rachel's going to talk a little bit more about the growth that they've seen over there, but it's a positive note for sure. It's the first year we've done the program, and we pulled away from the program that we had been using for quite some time. So, when you get a new program, you got to work out all the kinks. And so we've been working on that and making sure that we are meeting the needs of our kids. So, and I feel like both staff, both high school and elementary staff, are doing a fabulous job with it. So that's kind of like,
Do we have a written plan somewhere of
for dyslexia stuff?
Do we have it in writing somewhere that we can?
We,
Access.
as far as what?
What are?
The guidelines, we follow the guidelines that are on DESI. So the program, the staffing, the programs that we choose, how we come to view supplemental tools, all of that comes from the document that's on DESI. I can pull that
Is
for
it
you.
accessible by like teachers and parents? Like that's
Yes.
kind of a process, procedure
Spire
kind of
was,
thing?
Spire was one of the programs that Desi vetted and approved. Of course, Take Flight is the premier, but it's also the therapy-based program that it just wasn't sustainable for us to serve the number of kids that we had identified. And also, we wanted to have a process where we rescreened every student. So every student in elementary, and Rachel can talk about this when she comes up, we rescreened them to identify where they fell on the spectrum of the services, the levels. And any kid that was identified with any kind of reading disability at high school was screened as well. So we started off with new data with this new program using their metrics. And then the consistency and the frequency is the piece that is determined. So there's a curriculum that goes with it. And
And so who oversees that? Rachel?
so each building is sort of managing their own program. They're different programs based on elementary is more in person, high school is a little bit more online, iSpire. And then Beth oversees sort of keeping track of the data and also what training mechanisms teachers need to have or the facilitators need to have. That's to my understanding.
Yeah, and I feel like iSpire and Spire, we have the newest edition at our campus, and they are very, very good about opening up another session. If we need to do trainings, there's already trainings built into the product that we purchased. So if we need a new training, we can get that. The staff that's there now has been fully trained. It's only a one-day training, but then we do multiple trainings like update trainings or problem-solving trainings, anything that they want to touch base on again, we have been able to get them set up very easily. So they're really good. The program and the company's really hands-on with keeping us running and
So we train all of our faculty?
Just the ones that are delivering the program.
Okay.
yeah.
And then there's a data collection format that they're using, and that's the growth mechanism that.
Yeah, and we've developed new data sheets, and Erin actually developed a beautiful data progress tracking that the staff have been introduced to. We have the main data tracking on the master on the Google Drive, and I can see the growth. The growth area has been really much more than what I was thinking, but I was really excited when I saw it because it's the levels and their placement levels and their current levels are just continuing to go up. So that's a good sign. I think Rachel actually has the exact number for the growth, but anytime you start a new program, it's going to take a while to get it 100%.
Parents know where to go to find out information on, like, this is our process, this is when we test kids, this is who tests the kids, this is how we.
I mean, it's on DESI and it's been on DESI since it started. And
I don't know what that word means.
Department of Education.
Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
But do our parents know to go to
There is something on the website where we post our dyslexia numbers and the number of kids that we have in it. It has to be posted every year. It's one of the required components, and it's on the Arkansas Arts website.
I think the question is, is the process for which the kids are like identified and all that stuff, is that published, or is it just our dyslexia numbers?
No,
I'm a parent at the elementary school, I'm not, but let's say I was, and I have a concern about my child. How do I get information about the services we are currently providing our students?
we have a screening process. There's a mass screening process at the first, and they also take the first iReady. And they take the kids that flag on that and put them through a more intense level 1 process. And so all kids are screened to get into some form of alignment with what we're doing. And then after that, after they start receiving that level 1 intervention with the interventionist, then we can move on. If we're not seeing growth or we're not seeing gains, then they need to be referred further for the actual diagnosis or the characteristics of dyslexia. So that's how we start the process, and that's how we identify the students from the beginning.
I know that,
I do,
but how do our parents know that? Like, we've been a part of all of this process before. We've talked through this a lot. We've had issues with, are we meeting our dyslexia needs, that kind of thing for years. So as a parent, not a board member, not a faculty member, but as a parent at the elementary school, where is this information?
So in the student handbook, there's information on if there's a concern about a student, then a student study team convenes.
And that
If
includes.
a student has a medical diagnosis of dyslexia, we do not put them straight into dyslexia intervention. There are multiple steps that we follow. We have an
But it says that in the handbook.
That we have a student study team meeting, and at that meeting, we pull everybody together so we can see, are there speech issues? Because sometimes there's speech issues, are there OT issues? Are there other concerns for other content areas, not just that one? We try to get a holistic, evaluation of where that kid is and what they need. And then we start going through the data things that Beth was talking about, where we look at the iReady, see if they flag, then we see what they need for intervention. If that's not working, then we keep moving down through the process.
I've never seen in this process where we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. The issue is the communication with the parents and the parents not knowing what we are doing, all the things that we're doing. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. And obviously I'm not asking the right kind of question.
I mean, we have an internal flow chart, but we have not put that out yet because it's something that we've been developing this year as we go through this new program.
But that's, to your point, that's a very good, I think we need to follow back up with the information. I think the other districts that were using this program, which were, remind me.
Rogers, Bentonville, Pea Ridge, the closest one's to us.
In addition to Spire, what we were fighting in the previous years was we didn't have, or administration didn't have easy access to data. So what was happening with Take Flight was very isolated into a specific department, a specific person. So that information wasn't shared, and it never got back into how that's integrated into the classroom ELA work. What we've embraced with Spire is the concept of student study teams, which we haven't done before. The district. So what that looks like, and there's information on how parents can actually refer their own child to a student study team, or teachers can refer, or administrators can refer to go and say, okay, I'd like a student study team because these issues I see at home. My child doesn't like to read, whatever the issues are, behavior, and all the team convenes together. Teachers submit data, parents submit data. And all of a sudden, the study team, just like Ms. Carruthers referred to, begins to dissect what some issues are. And then that screener comes in play if that's
What they deem necessary.
right. And then if it is, then that goes this direction. There is a flow chart, but we can easily, because if you guys don't see it and you're aware, then that tells us that we have to do a better job communicating that.
The complaints that I hear a lot are not, I'm able to quickly say, these are the things that I know that are going on. You need to reach out to basically your building principal, right? And ask these questions. But if they're coming in saying, we don't provide any dyslexia services, well, that's not true, right? But if the information isn't readily available to them about who I need to go to or what I need to do if there's concerns, right? Then I think that dispels a lot.
Yes, I totally agree. And we will,
So I think that we could.
Ms. Scott will work on communication.
We have the referral process definitely for just an overall referral for a student having any type of trouble. So it's not narrowed down just to dyslexia, but it's like a starting referral process, but we can definitely add a component in there. And there's a handbook part for student services. So we can definitely, we can add that process in.
A lot of parents don't know if it's dyslexia or not, but they can tell you there's something not right.
Yes.
Kid can't line up their numbers right on the
Right.
paper. I mean, that
Yes.
still tells you there's a tracking issue right there, whether it's dyslexia or not is a whole nother. So parents can't always put the words to it, but they still have to be able to say, something's not right. How can I get help?
Do we showcase that like at the beginning when people, when we come and do like students get their packets and things? There's something where where we showcase that during that time
I'm
as
not
well?
sure if Spire was showcased or
Yeah.
not, but this is something that we need to move forward with in a way that everyone is feeling confident that we're doing and meeting the needs of kids.
Because we are. I
Yes,
think
we are.
there's a break in all that our building principals and teachers are doing and what the parents are seeing.
And I think, when we had Take Flight, and we know that's the premier, we know that's the therapeutic, that's the number one. There was no way for us to staff that in a way. It would have taken, we had 3 and we weren't even, there was just no way. And then we were pulling kids constantly from their core instruction. Because to meet all their scheduling needs. So, when we began this journey of what are other options, we weren't the only school district that recognized we've got to find other needs because, for all the other reasons kids are behind in English language arts, is this one particular part? And how do we address that to increase that ability and success rate for kids? So that's when the trial began, looking at what other districts are doing, how feasible is it? What kind of resources do we have? Reaching out to the Department of Ed, going, what are some other options? But, as in any change, the communication piece is the biggest gap. And if we're not telling it to our parents in a way that they understand and feel comfortable, that goes against us. And we don't want that to happen. So we will do a better job at, and when Rachel comes up to talk about what she's going to talk about, she'll show and discuss how we're tracking gains. And that's the biggest piece too, is how do we see some of those instrumental gains, but then also we're seeing it successfully, not just in a pocket. How are we seeing it consistently?
And are we communicating out to our parents about that on a regular basis?
Yes.
And I think the other part too is if a student is at a level where they need a more therapeutic, that conversation is happening either with the interventionist or someone at school to say, you're going to need more time to meet the gains for your student success. And so, go in the community and find whomever, but we can get you here. And then this is going to also help.
I think one good thing with Spire, like Dr. Roberts was saying, is it's built in nicely with our intervention time, whereas Take Flight wasn't able as easily because of the amount of time that they had to be out and the number of days that they had to be out. All of the kids are in intervention at a specific time, and they're all grouped by the level that they need to be levelized by. So they're working with kids that are on their same level, and we have them split to where their groups are not even at the max, honestly, that they can be. So I think that we are going to see some really major nice gains once we get this, 100%.
I was also saying this, Catherine, one thing that we have put into place is I meet with, and Ms. Rosanna, our academic coach, we're meeting with our intervention team bi-weekly to look at that student progress. So we are not surprised if we're not seeing gains. And most recently, when I've checked in with them, every student is showing gains. They're all progressing with skills. That's the spreadsheet Beth was talking about, is a checkbox sheet of the skills so we can see what they're gaining. The only student that we really haven't seen adequate progress for is receiving outside clinical dyslexia therapy as well. So we're checking on that frequently and adjusting as we need to, because that's important to us too. If they're not showing progress, we don't want to wait to see if they're going to catch up in a few weeks. We want to get on top of that.
And we've already had several students that, well, not several, a few students that we didn't feel like they were making the gains that they needed to, but that wasn't necessarily Spire driven. That was learning disability driven. And those kids have now placed in special education. So our team is really good about not dragging our feet with who needs to be referred. we're not gonna sit on RTI forever just because we're waiting to see what they need further. So we've done a really good job about looking into those kids and getting them placed with the services that they need, and still allowing them to have the dyslexia program as part of their services.
I know I owe you guys a visit, in a conversation. I've been out of town, and I apologize.
It's okay. We look forward to it. I made you a cute little handbook to take home.
I saw an email come through today, but I didn't have time to.
I didn't have time to print. I mean, I would have had time to print that out, but it was like 85 pages long. And I thought, I did print a notebook with some different areas that we have collected new information. And we actually printed out the actual Spire 4, because what's listed right now on DESE is Spire 3. And they knew at that time that Spire 3 was not hitting all the check boxes. So now the new Spire, and they haven't updated the website yet, the DESE
So
website.
what's in the buildings? Is that Spire 4?
Yeah. And it actually, I've met with the reps again, and they assured me, and they sent me, which I put in the notebook, it assures us that we're meeting all of them. Now, we are still supplementing because we've noticed that there are some areas that need a little more training, or maybe a kiddo needs a little more skill set with that we're using. But we're taking that kid one at a time as they come up. So I think we're on a good track, a very good track.
All right, I will touch base with you guys.
And we'd love to see you.
We have a staff needed to cover. This is a lot. It's a lot to pass down to the buildings too, just the monitoring, like I said, the paperwork, the tracking,
I think
plus the services.
what Megan Rosanna has been a godsend. Not only is she a halt, but her ability to meet with the ELA team, know the kids' deficit areas, work with their PLCs, but also meet with this Aspire group and look at the testing mechanisms and understand the curricula at each grade level has been a help. Dr. McGara is also, this is her lane of knowledge. And so she's been a real gift in helping us manage that. It's different at high school because it's a different delivery mechanism. And they have tried several different approaches to see which one works the best to give the kids the most time without them missing any of the major component parts to their day. I think a lot of the success that we're beginning to see is because of a masterful creation of a master schedule in a way that grade level teams have, they're consistently scheduled in a way where they're doing all the same thing. In the past, that wasn't the case. So you'd have one teacher doing ELA, one teacher doing in the same grade level team. And so second grade teacher was doing ELA at 10, one was doing math at 10, one was doing science. So there was not the ability to group kids in small group and pull and share. And so with that scheduling, this has helped develop those small groups with the help of Ms. Stephenson and her skill set as a para and interventionist, with Spire, with all the other, with now this tutoring mechanism. We're just embracing kids in a way that we're able to individualize some of their learning.
And we're not overwhelming our current people is my concern.
Well, everyone plays multiple hats. It's the beauty of the charter.
Yes.
But I think the key mechanism too is that our ability to look at the data, put it in a way that it's shared across a lot of different eyes. They're tracking that data. So it's not responsibility of
Or
one
like you said
person.
before, it was like one.
Right. And then it was very siloed and it wasn't electronic. And so when you try to look for data that way, and it's based on very subjective feedback or subjective collection, then it's hard to discern and make that consistent. So we've got a system now that is open to lots of different eyes. And I asked for that too. Like, I want to track it as well.
And I feel like with the new teams, with it being a team and they're meeting and they're discussing it weekly or bi-weekly, or bi-monthly, it's been really the best process of moving kids forward. Because before, nobody really knew what they did when they went to that little room. But now we're all on the same page and we're all sharing in the growths and helping them out. So we're all excited about it.
Because the other component of dyslexia is dyscalculia. So it's very rare not to have a touch of something other than dyslexia when you're in those early stages of learning. So we're able to look at things differently.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Facilities or transportation.
So, no, other than, and I have it on our agenda and I have not attached it because I'm gonna ask for one more month of forbearance on our facility rental agreement, because it's not quite ready yet. When we last met at our work session, Mark had asked for a template for a COI. And so I reached out to our insurance provider to get that. So we have something that's very standardized. But I have made your suggestions on the form and we're looking at having staff fill out the form just as anyone else would. So we have that information as well as providing who's on campus and the names of students and all that stuff to increase our safety protocol.
You just want what the insurance form looks like?
A template, like, so for us to expect when it's leasing out our facility to have a certificate of insurance or coverage of insurance. Mark made a very good point. How do we know this is the right form? They're just gonna say they're giving us a form, but it could have been they pulled it off of Google, or is it from their provider, or, so I've asked our insurance, which we get from ASBA, to give us a,
Yeah, I can see
so
that. Yeah.
something that we are saying, this is our form, you will need to get it filled out. So when I
Well,
have that.
it's, okay, well, I'll send you what we have, but it comes from the insurance company and it looks a certain way, and then you just call and verify it with the number at the bottom. I'll send it to you.
Okay. So
It's really easy.
that's a missing piece, so we're
Okay.
moving on, but no other updates for that.
Forget.
I believe that means we're ready for our high school presentation. Could we possibly squeeze Sheena in so she can go back to cooking?
Oh, yeah. Please.
You're gonna talk about this on the future.
Well, so I think so far we have 5 families.
I think 6. I'll get another one today.
So 6, we're getting up there. We were in this location, but we got a better location that was actually upstairs for me. So now they have like the refrigerators in there. He has the shelves and stuff. This week I've been kind of busy with everything that's going on because we have a lot going on. But next week I'm going to start shopping and start getting boxes out with our family. We have like a lot of money through Northwest Arkansas Food Bank. So we need to like get that money utilized first. So, which is good for this year because that way we can like my idea of it is to kind of be like HelloFresh. Mm-hmm. Right? So they get this box and it has like all these amazing ingredients and the recipes in there. And that way the family can actually come back together with dignity and work together and make a great meal. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. So we have the funding for it, so I can actually see how it works like this year. So next year it might be like, well, that might have been too expensive. Let's try to find something different. But this year I think it's gonna be pretty cool.
You can have a talk about how families are selected in that process, please.
Yes, ma'am. There's an application and it's through it's through the Northwest Arkansas Food Bank, and it is basically the similar qualifications as TANF, and so it's supported by TANF in the food pantry. And so they fill out an application with us, and the percentage of annual income and family number ratio is on there. So we ask for an income monthly or yearly, and then we can just kind of look really quickly at the chart that they have given us, kind of a, yes or no. And all of them that we've received have been yes and been approved. So we're just kind of moving forward with that. We first offered it to our students, families who are receiving the snack packs through the Northwest Arkansas Food Bank. And so we're going to open it up since we had a smaller response than what we thought we might get. Then we're going to open it up to all families and offer it to all families. I think we will be able to sustain it starting this kind of late in the grant cycle and this late in the school year. So we will run the pantry from now, as soon as we kind of get it off the ground, until the end of September. The last day of September, it ends, and then we hope to be refunded for the next cycle of grant. And so it will start in the beginning of October and then run again through there. So we're kind of a little bit behind on it, but like Sheena said, we now have the opportunity to see what will work for families, what will not. And for Sheena's creativity part of it, she's having her senior class or capstone class kind of almost take over it in the aspect of knowing how to gain great experience and knowledge in ordering food, seeing what is available, budgeting, things like that. So they will take part in all of that process. They will create a menu, and so a kind of step-by-step food recipe, and then that kind of card. I don't know if you've ever had the HelloFresh or the delivery boxes, and you get an 8x10 flyer kind of card, and it tells you exactly what you're getting and exactly what meal you can make out of that, and then exactly how to do it. And it's super simple and very informative and helpful. So part of that is created by her senior capstone students, and then they are going to go in and box it in that individual meal versus just a box full of random food items that somebody may or may not like or may not be allergic to, things like that. So Sheena is reaching out to the families to get their input if there are dietary restrictions, things like that. So it's really more individualized because we're at a smaller school and have a smaller population. We're able to do that, and because we have Sheena and her wizardry that she does in the culinary department, and her students and their knowledge, and it's just really a great way to show them and give them the experience of starting a food bank from nothing, from almost writing the grant. So it's a really great experience for them, and it's very beneficial for us and helpful for our students and families as well. Seems like there was something else I was going to say.
And what is the intended start date?
Probably, next week. So we're going to contact the families and reach out and see what give them an option of like maybe Mondays in the mornings or Wednesdays in the afternoon or Thursdays and whatever works best for them to pick up. So as soon as we have kind of a bigger clientele almost, then we will start with deliveries and things like that. So hopefully next week, I think we can get a few more families this week by reaching back out. And Jenna, our intern from the U of A, has been very helpful in taking on that process with Miss Miller being gone. And so we're hoping, again, just kind of, we're still getting those applications in and kind of dwindling in, but hopefully we can get a few more before we actually start. But I would say definitely by next week, we'll probably have pickup.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
no exact date,
with booking too many things in 1 week. So next week we can focus on that, like seriously. And get it
So, so we're really looking forward to it. And again, just giving the students the experience of having that, the opportunity of starting that, creating that, and having their say in it and buying it and all that too. So I think it's really great twofold there with that.
Is there any other community support or additional support you need to make it smoother, to make it easier to support you?
I think so far, we just need to do it.
Okay.
We just need to do it and see how it works and see how it works for us and what's gonna work best.
Kind of work out the kinks that we come along across.
And the menus and everything like that, it's just, at this point, we just have to go for it. Like, we got everything we need, we just have to go.
And we've been, I personally have just been very surprised at the families that have not participated. So I think that's kind of, I was not expecting that. I was expecting us to have a larger amount and kind of get going.
Surprised at 6.
I'm
You
sorry.
think they just haven't gotten back to you that yet, or?
We have done, individual phone calls even. We have done emails. We have done follow-up phone calls. We've called students down. We have sent letters home with their names on, I mean, sealed. Yeah, so I'm not sure, but I do think that if someone knew and understood the concept behind it, Sheena, I can't remember the exact quote, I hope you can, but just kind of had a little saying on the flyers and things like bringing dignity back to the table and having the family come back together and prepare the meal and make the meal rather than, again, just getting a box of random food items, which is good too. But Sheena came up with kind of the concept of bringing everybody together and more teaching how to cook and having it a family event versus.
That's a great idea.
Not. Yeah, so
We need to do like a lab or a demo and have the family actually come in and work in the box. Or maybe the kids that we know that need the help, so they can actually see like, well, this is a good thing, and they can go back and tell their mom. I don't know, I think we just need to get them all in together and just do one big cooking thing.
So hopefully we can get someone on board soon. But thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a lot. I haven't talked to y'all in a couple of months, so I'll be fast. But the first thing is if you are a parent at my school, you have definitely heard about our fundraiser, because I sent as many emails and posts and flyers and talking to kids about it as soon as possible. And we met our goal, which was really exciting because we got a little nervous here and there starting in the snow days. But we made an $11,372 profit. And all of that money we are planning to use it to create classroom art supply boxes, because we're doing a whole lot of art in our classrooms. And it's really nice for our teachers to be able to just grab everything that they need for the entire year for the arts-based skills and strategies that they use right in their rooms, instead of having to talk to a neighbor or plan enough ahead that they can get a PO and then get Amazon or go and talk to Miss Price. We don't want them to mess with our arts teachers to try to get their supplies. So we've worked with Art for Learning to tell us what they think needs to be in the box to really just have them set up for the entire year. So they can on the fly say, you know what, I really want to do this arts-based skill and strategy real quick, and they have it right there. So we were really pleased. This was a group called My Booster that did something called a dance fit. So it's kind of like when you do a fun run and you pay per lap the kid's going to run. It was per minute the kid danced, except for every kid got credit for all the minutes danced. But we did a big celebration last Friday and our kids loved it. I mean, kindergartners were dancing, sixth graders were dancing, everyone in between was dancing, and they had a really good time. The group came out and they provided everything. I mean, they had little lights on the floor. They had speakers. They had three people that were there that set everything up with big screens and all sorts of fun stuff. They also provided prizes. The kids got prizes for, all the different things that they could do, registering and raising certain amounts of funds. We did lots of fun classroom.
Incentives.
Yes, incentives. We owe some things tomorrow for that.
A couple of classes have a hot chocolate party coming tomorrow.
Yes, on our
All
food
their-
day.
their chocolate.
So anyway, it was really fun and we had a really good time. And this company, the first year we had them run everything, but we can choose to run it ourselves, put the dance on ourselves, and we get a much larger portion of the funds. So we wanted them to come this year so we could see how it works. It was pretty successful. They also predict that in following years you'll get more money because your family's plan. They know that this is like the fundraiser, and we would love to have something like this that we can kind of rely on for some extra support for our arts. All right, so we'll talk about some data. So we took our iReady test in the winter, and this is a lot. You have this information, but I just wanted to kind of give an overview. And if there's anything that you want me to go into in more detail, please let me know. So on the left, every one of these is where the kids, what the kid's level is, whether it's above, early on, 1 below, 2 below, 3 below. And on the left, we have the fall to winter 24, so that's this school year. And then in the middle is last school year. And then on the right is just winter to winter. So we're not looking about, the first two are about growth. Last year's just comparing last year's scores to this year's scores at the same time. So it doesn't look a whole lot different. And I'm going to talk about later how that is actually probably a good thing because we're implementing a whole lot of new stuff right now. But our students did start lower this year overall. 19% were 2+ grade levels below this year, where only 15% were last year. Our improved placement is similar. Things are kind of on the same track. We're seeing negative growth in the places we want to see negative growth. Kids are leaving the places we don't want them to be in, and they are moving to the places we want them to be. So there's our reading. And then, so typical growth. So iReady assigns every kid a number of points that they expect them to grow in an entire school year. So halfway through the year, we would expect them to be about 50-ish% through. It does not give me an easy graph that's showing me 50, so I'm looking at 40 and up. And this year, 63% of our kids had 40% or better progress towards meeting their typical goal. And then that's very similar to last year. So we're at similar places in reading. This is our grade to grade. So I have two different comparisons. One is last year's kinders to this year's kinders. And then another one is the cohort. So last year's kinders to this year's first graders, comparing the kids to the same kids. So you'll see where we were a little bit better in percentage last year and then this year. So we have the percent that met their typical growth and the percent that had improved placement. So where they went from like 2 grade levels below to only 1 grade level below, or anywhere up and down the ladder. So some context, which I'm sure you already know, but we had every grade had at least one staff change. So at least 25% of their grade is someone who's new to that grade. K2, 5, and 6 had one teacher who's new to the school each. 4th grade has 2 people that are new to the school and 1 person that's new to the grade. And then just our literacy specifically, since we're talking about reading, is new to 4th grade and the school and to teaching. So anyway, so there's some context in some of these. And then this is our cohort. So this is last year's kinders, what they did last winter, to us first graders, what they did this winter. So you can kind of see the comparisons there. Please slow me down if you want to talk about anything specific, but. Okay, I'm going to move to math. So math, this is our math overall comparison. Again, it's pretty similar to what it was last year. And we kind of have something similar with our last year. This year students began a little bit lower overall. 9% were 2 or more grade levels below and 6% were 3 or more grade levels below. Our improved placement was slightly better, about 2% better than last year, which isn't great, but we do have a lot of other demographics that change. We're going to be a whole school Title I, whereas we weren't last year. So some of our demographics have shifted a little bit. And then this was a math typical growth. Again, it's pretty similar, not any huge changes. And grade to grade comparison, the same thing. Our math teachers are new in grades 4 through 6. So we needed some change in math. Math is my specialty. And so we definitely have some things to do with math, and that is absolutely in my plan to work on math professional development. This is our math cohort comparison, how they did last year comparing to how they did this year with the same group of kids. Okay, so pretty much everything is similar. And of course, we want to see improvement every year. And we didn't see a whole lot of improvement in our already scores. But some context, we're in year 2 of Artful Learning training. So every single professional development day that we have has been dedicated to Artful Learning, which is incredible. And it is a wonderful professional development. Our teachers are growing from it. But that hasn't given us any specific pedagogy training for math or literacy, which I think Artful Learning is going to raise our scores just in and of itself, but we definitely need some specific support and skills in those 2 areas. We're also in year 2 of curriculum adoption. They hadn't had a curriculum much before. They had brand new stuff last year. Our standards have changed for ELA and math this school year, and social studies changed last year. So we're in an implementation dip and we're not losing much ground. I think that we're going to be seeing growth in the future. I don't know if you've heard about the implementation dip. There's quite a bit of research on the implementation
When you
dip.
started saying, well, we haven't really changed, that's the first thing I thought of
Right.
was the fact that you didn't lose tons of ground is such a testament to how hard
The teachers are working so
you guys
hard.
are working. Such a testament. Like
Yes, absolutely. And that's my point. Yeah, that's absolutely my point here for
lots of
sure.
ground lost. And so
Yes.
such a testament to be able to hold steady.
Our teachers are working really hard and they're doing so many things at the same time and learning so many things at the same time. So if you aren't aware of the implementation dip, when you begin something, if you just continued on, you might grow a little bit because you're going to get better at what you're doing if you're doing the same thing over and over. But when you learn something and you're trying it out, you're going to get a little worse before you get better. And sometimes organizations will start to go down and they abandon ship and then they just are continuing but on a lower pathway. But I don't know where we are in the implementation dip. I hope we're kind of like at the end of that bottom, but I don't know. But I foresee us going up quite a bit, especially with our incredible artful learning and our other, all the other supports that we've put into place in the school, all of our dyslexia support, all of our academic coach support, our charis. I mean, we're attacking the low kids, the middle kids, the high kids all at the same time. So I think we'll start to see that come out in the next few years. So some of our next steps, so I'm a MathQuest trainer, which was a professional development that was really pushed by the state in the last couple of years. I haven't heard too much about it lately, but to be fair, I'm not in the middle of that now. But Erin and I have been discussing lots of different things we need to do, and we would like to start a MathQuest cohort, which is a 3-year professional development that the Arkansas Department of Education put together, and it's a really good one. I taught it in Springdale for a couple of years. And then we're working all the time on improving implementation of small group instruction using iReady data. In fact, today, our teachers last PLC and then today, our teachers in PLCs were working on their common formative assessments in their PLCs. And they were also, for grades 3 through 6, putting those into the Atlas platform, which is our state test. They were putting it into that platform so that kids can practice these assessments in the platform that they're going to be using for our summative test. We also received a swivel reflectivity grant, which is, have you guys ever heard of the swivel cam? It's a really cool contraption. So the teacher wears a marker basically, which also has a little microphone. So it's just like a lanyard. And you set up an iPad in a camera that swivels around and it follows you around the room. So as you move, it's just sitting there turning and following whoever's wearing the marker. And what the grant is providing is support for 10 teachers where they'll have access to, I'm trying, Erin's the mastermind on this whole thing, but they have access to this platform that allows them to upload their clips and they can pick the little clips of it. And other people in the group, either it can stay private, it can go to the group of our school, and I believe it can go to the wider group of everyone on that platform. They can see what other people are doing in their classroom. So while our goal is to get every teacher into other people's classrooms physically, this will allow them to see what's going on in other teachers' classrooms in their building, but also everywhere across the United States to see what's happening and be able to compare and talk about improvements and things they can try and things that have worked and things that have not worked. So, and it does provide some funds at the end to actually give some stipends to our teachers that take part in this reflectivity grant. So we're excited about getting that off the ground. We're getting pretty close to starting. Also, I know that Dr. Roberts has talked about our high impact tutoring grant. We're excited about that. We really want to super target math and of course reading, but we haven't had as much of a focus on math as we probably need to in the past couple of years. And that's beginning soon. And then our implementation of our artful learning units are in April. So our teachers have been writing these things since the summer and they are massive units. They encompass every content area. They're pretty impressive with all of the amazing work that they've done. And so if you want to come visit the school, April's a really great month to do that because they're going to be everywhere you walk, everywhere you go is going to be the implementation of a brand new unit from Artful Learning. Okay, so this is super tiny, but you have it digitally and you have it, but I just wanted to give you a picture of the kind of tracking that we're doing with Spire. They're going down to the
skill level.
the very specific skill levels. You can kind of see it on the bottom a little easier, but like short A, short U. So with each of these different skills that they're working on, depending on their level, they're seeing, can they decode, can they encode, do they have the fluency, do they have comprehension? And they're keeping track of this. They update it weekly after they've worked with their groups for 5 days. And they've really been tracking. We've been working on, you know, creating this tracking system so that it works for us and it gets us the information that we need. Our average growth in reading for our students that were Inspire was 31.7 points. And for kids that were not Inspire, it was 17.7. So we're seeing some pretty great growth compared to kids not receiving any of that. This is our internal decision tree. It's not, we're still kind of working on it. It looks really odd up there. But just if you want to go through and kind of look at how are we making the decisions? Where do kids go? How do we end up in dyslexia intervention? What if we have a yes here but a no here? What happens? You can kind of look through. We also have a monitoring status decision tree, because when kids get all the way through the Spire program, we don't want to just like kick them out like, all right, good luck. We want to make sure that there's some other things in place, some other scores in place showing that they're ready. And then we also have some different ways that we monitor those students. Okay, discipline. I know there were some questions about discipline, and I believe you've seen at least the thing on the left. The high school and elementary, we have very similar behavior guides, but of course they're tailored for what our different ages of kids need. And we also have an intervention flow chart, which is also, again, very similar to what the high school is using, because we're both following the same model. But we have worked with our teachers and done a lot of collective creation of what is a teacher managed behavior, what's an office managed behavior. And really, we were finding that our teachers were managing more than we think that they should in the classroom, because it's taken away from a lot of instructional time. And it's because they don't want to send kids to the office. I mean, nobody wants to send a kid, but there are some things that we are saying, this is something that needs to come to us, because we need to have a conversation with them. We need to have a conversation with the parent. But also some of these teacher managed things, there are steps that they should take. But if the same kind of low level behavior is happening, they still eventually come to the office if it's not resolved. But you can feel free to look at that. And if you need a bigger copy, I can get one for you. So some of the data that we pull is from, well, all the data we pull is from eSchool. And last year for this same time period, we had 0.57 incidents per day, but I will let you know that the reporting was not consistent last year. I think it was the first time we'd ever put anything into eSchool, and I don't think that everything got into eSchool last year, reporting our behaviors. There were a lot of just conversations, go back to your class things that happened last year. And so this year we're putting everything in. It's all going in so that we just have as comprehensive a set of information as we can get. So with that, we have 0.49 incidents per day, so about 1 every 2 days. Although it doesn't average out like that. It averages out like 6, 0.0006.
And close to break, yes.
Yes, there's lots of patterns.
Candy on Valentine's Day?
Well, usually party days, they
want to be.
that stays in the classroom. They don't want to get up in the office on that. Yeah, exactly. And days after routines have broken, there are a lot of. Anyway, we think Tuesdays are the worst day. That's my personal hypothesis for behavior, but I'm working on that one. So Smart Data Dashboard is an amazing, it's an amazing engine that pulls all of that data from eSchool, and then it puts us, we can get a lot of different reports and see a lot of different things with it. It's a little hard to see this, but it does show like well, first of all, which categories of students, what demographics of students are coming to the office more often, so that we can be aware if we're totally out of sync, have a way higher proportion of one demographic than another. We probably need to look at the way that we're either dealing with it or what we're doing in the classrooms. It also lets us know where everything is happening, because that's helpful, although it's mostly in the places where there's less structure. So outside of classrooms, gyms and hallways and playgrounds. And it also gives us, we can see really clearly how many times did we have each of the categories. Did y'all have any questions about our discipline stuff? And really some of it, when we put in discipline to eSchool, you know, you put physical attack on student, and that seems like a really harsh thing when it's a kindergartner pushing another kindergartner or something, but we still are trying to get as accurate a data as we can get. And we put fighting if 2 kids are punching back and forth, but they're, you know, it's not like a fight you would see at a high school. It's a little kid fight, and we're learning how to deal with each other. But we're trying to be as accurate as possible, so it'll be really interesting to see what we have in the end of the year. So we have some upcoming assessments. Mel and I've been planning our dates for everything. We have the Atlas writing coming up early March. We're going to be giving our ELPA in April, and then in May, we have all of our other atlases. We're actually with the lengthening of our assessment calendar. They lengthened it by 1 week. That's going to allow us to give our summative assessments in May, which in my 16 years of education, I've never given an assessment in May. It's been February, it's been March, it's been April, but it's never been May. So I'm really excited about having the extra days of instruction, especially with the snow days that we've had. And then we'll give the iReady again at the end of the year. I think that's it. Y'all have any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
My turn. Rachel, that's a hard act to follow.
Sorry, it was a lot. I saved all.
She gave it to you all at one time. So my iReady finally happened with us having weather and us having our semester test at the high school, pushing it back. And then I must say, we had a little bit of illness hit our students. So my goals to get it done in a week were a little lofty, you might say. And here you go, Miss Beth. So just, mine's very short and simple. I just want you to know we did conclude it. It went a little bit longer than we expected. It went through last week. I personally did a lot of the makeups right out here with the students. They did a really good job at applying themselves. If you look at the sheet at the top that says high school iReady reading progress, I'll start with that one. What I've put together for you is just a 1-year synopsis. It's not 3 years like Ms. Crithers gave you. But this is a graph that shows you how students were performing in the fall versus how they're performing this winter. The blue and the red is the good thing. The blue and the red represent that they're exceeding grade level or they're on grade level. The yellow means they're 1 grade level below. The green means they're 2 grade levels below. And the orange means they're 3 or more below. They're very at risk. I put some numbers on there to make it easy to see. What you want to see is the numbers increase in the blue and red, and you want to see them go down in the yellow. And that's what happened. In 7th grade, you see that we grew the number of students that were achieving mid or above grade level from 33 to 39. Same thing with early on grade level. That means we shifted kids that were below grade level to grade level or better. So that's good for 7th grade in reading. Same scenario in 8th grade. They made the shift from below, and those numbers went up in both of those categories, those performance levels, from 33 to 43 and 22 to 24. In 9th grade, we also had the shifts that we want to see, an increase from fall to winter from 25 to 27 and 22 to 25. And again, it'll be the inverse on the others, because if you're moving kids upward to grade level or exceeding it, you'll want to see those numbers go down, the number of students that were performing below grade level. 10th grade, same thing. We had the positive shift upward, and same with 11th. 12th is just an anomaly, let me tell you. It's skewed data, I won't lie to you. It is skewed data because a lot of our high-performing students are taking concurrent classes with NWAC, and that's like lassoing a wild horse to get them in here to do this test. But if we did, it would probably give us the same results on there, but they felt like that was a punitive thing, having to do an assessment as a senior in a concurrent credit class. We'll rebrand that vision going forward. Maybe we can catch them. I had a few say, oh, I'll do it, Ms. Morgan, I'll do it. I said, our data's skewed without you in it. And so they took the test, and I'm sure they made a big difference in it. We did achieve the goals at your board retreat. We didn't have all that information to give you. So we had represented our student populations in reading last fall. We had 98% tests, okay? 98% tests in the winter window, and we had 99% in math. So we've got the numbers that we need. For many of them, that will be a baseline, and then the spring will be their growth measure as well. When you flip over and look at math, plotted a few more numbers from here. And to do what Rachel did, because she did a really good job, by the way, Rachel, to do what you did is, in reading, we have had some staff changes. We have, they're not new to the teaching profession, but we have new teachers at grade 9 and 10 to our district, to our high school. In math, it was all new, except for one teacher. So everybody that's teaching math was new, with the exception that We got Ms. Deb Arnoldson Elementary, and she's done an amazing job teaching seventh and providing coaching for math at the high school. So if you look at these numbers, we see some gains, and maybe not in the highest above grade level performance, but from the seventh grade in the fall and winter, we do see a shift from 24 to 29 on grade level. And we see those numbers also, you have to go down to see them, where they make the shift backwards all the way with the grade level below. I want you to know we had a lot of students that were below grade level in mathematics. And so that is a gap, that's an achievement gap that can be closed, but it's difficult to do in 6 months. And it's about as equally challenging to do in a year with that much deficit in math, okay? But we're doing it, we're making those strides. 8th grade, you can see that progress there, as well as 9th, and also as well as 10th, and then it tapers off again at the upper level. But any questions about the iReady progress? Is there anything else you would like me to present you on that than what I've done? It's very short to the point, but you can flip it. Here's the next
steps forward. It's good.
Well, here's the neat thing. Our teachers right now are using this data in their PLCs, and I know that the kids are excited because some of them will be reevaluated and they will be able, if they want, to exit our acceleration, which is our response to intervention program, because they've made such good progress on an individual level. And then there'll be others that stay in there because they still have some gaps to close. And so that proves that the work going on in the tier 1 classroom instruction, as well as what we're doing in the response to intervention program, is making a difference with our kids. Okay. Seems like I'm forgetting one more thing to tell you about that. Like Rachel, I'm excited that they've extended our calendar. There is one thing that they've done that we don't like, but we're just going to tell you about it because it's just a one-year phenomenon. The writing component of the Atlas assessment is going to be given in March. And the only answer to that is it's the first year they don't have enough items. They're going to have to human score the very first year. It will be part of that summative score. We can only pray how they keep them married till the end of the year, the kids that take them in the middle versus the end. But they're supposed to match them up. And I've got a blueprint. If y'all ever want them, I can share them with you. Our staff had these, but the writing makes up 19% of the summative ELA score. So it's a big deal. I want you to know what it kind of looks like. And Rachel, I believe it looks the same all the way down. I've sent them to you. So at least they're consistent with this. What that means is the kids are responsible for learning lots of different standards that support writing, but they will be given randomly a particular type of writing to respond to. So this test for writing is still one item for a writing prompt. And then it has 6 to 8, depending if they're chosen as a field test student, 6 to 8 writing performance tasks on structures and conventions of writing. So it's not a giant test, but it's a very important test because it counts nearly 20% of their overall ELA grade. So that's a big deal. Just wanted you to know what we're doing to prepare for that. Ms. Dale leads our ELA PLC work at the high school. And then Ellen works with our SPED teachers in the ELA to make sure they cover that. But they're going to be, they have these rubrics, and I'm going to give them out again to remind them. These are how writing prompts will be scored. So this is a great way to be looking at how do you currently score that information yourself in your classroom on writings. It tells them what qualifies as a 4-point rubric or a 2-point rubric, whatever. So we have all of those for the different types of writing, everything from informative explanatory to argumentation. So each of our ELA teachers will have these. High school even has the narrative rubric. And we've involved Ms. Wenzel too, because she does so much to support the Wandering Cloud that does writing. She wants to learn how she can support this work as well with the students in the art program. And then our special ed teachers, of course, will also get them as well. It's one of the things we're doing to prep. The other thing is these are exemplars. They don't have one at every grade level and every writing type, every writing prompt. But the teachers are going to get these, and these are actual items that have been scored so they can see how the scoring will take place. And then they can use them. If they want to use them as a teachable moment in their classroom with students, they can do so. They can provide them the prompt, not share the rubric, and then go over it and score with them. And then the other things that we're doing right here, some of us have been doing it for a while, but they're going to be taking the practice test if they haven't already, so that they're very familiar with the platform. The blessing we have at the high school is, I told you, every student in math has already been in that platform numerous times. They've done the classroom tools. They even put their summative tests on the platform. So the students have gotten familiar just through math classes. They also have gotten familiar with the platform through doing the science interims. Remember, they all did the science interims. And so ELA, I had told you, I think in your retreat feedback from me is they were going to be opening the practice test and also looking at the classroom assessments themselves, even though there's not an interim, so that they feel comfortable with that. And I think Ms. Dell told me today in PLC that Ms. Arnold came and gave them a run through herself. That's how experienced she is with it, and demonstrated how easy that brings the teacher's anxiety down on how to use this new tool and how simple getting ready for the testing, writing test will be. The writing test, they'll have a minimum number of minutes they have to sit for. And it's 60 minutes for the high school. They may finish before that. They have to remain in there for 60 minutes. And we have our date set at the high school for Friday, March 8th to do that. Any questions about that? Nothing? We haven't nailed down our dates yet. I've got to get with Ms. Foster too on that, because May is a crazy month at the high school for numerous reasons. But I am very thankful that we have the ability to push our assessments out so that we can capitalize on all of our instructional time that we've missed. So thank you for allowing us that cushion with marking period 2, because we really needed that for the kids. They really did. And we will also conclude our year with iReady measures again at the end. I want to brag a little bit about recruitment. I mean, it's not a big number, but I'm excited. But I am excited. On the 24th and 25th, we held campus tours here, and all of our high school staff was great. Half the staff was here one night, half the next, and Erin did a great job presenting a great presentation for the families. And we had 14 families or 14 different students represented in families that turned out over the course of those 2 nights. I wish it had been 40, but it was 14. And what counts is it's the families that planned and came to that event to truly learn about our arts program. And for some of them, it actually translated into, well, will you have an opening now? And we were like, yes. So after we were able to kind of see the type of student, and it was in the best interest of the kid to make that move, we have gotten 7 new students since the first of the year at the high school. Not all from this, some from really good word of mouth, some from other students that are here and they love it and they're telling another student. But 14 students. And our expo was a success that same week on Saturday. Had a really good representation at the mall. I just don't know if that is our best way of recruiting at times, because, you know, they're at the mall and there we are. And so that's all good, but I don't know. I think the campus tour thing really helps filter the type of family and student that wants to be here. So maybe, I mean, I was pretty pumped to get 7 kids out of that, so. Y'all would be if you met them. They're really good.
It's
They're really good kiddos. They are.
May I ask, I know on Thursday, I'm bringing a large group of families here on Thursday to the event, Thursday evening. Are there recruitment efforts at those sort of events that are open to the public?
Yes, we're gonna have a table, and Amber is going to be seated as well as Amanda. So we're gonna have a table with information about our programs.
Thank you for bringing a large group Thursday. All right, thanks, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. I think we're at number 5, comments from the public.
Do we have any?
Susan, do we have, public comments? No. Okay. Do we have a student council report? Student council report?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. There's no kid here to speak, right?
No.
Okay, that's fine. 7, we gotta approve the minutes from December and January. Does anyone have comments or questions about the minutes? Or can we have a motion to approve?
I may have forgotten to put.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. All right, 7.2, financials. Adrian, got anything smart to say?
No.
No? Nothing?
I don't have any questions or concerns. If anybody has questions, let me know. We're rocking along right where we're supposed to be halfway through the year.
Okay. And I believe we've actually gone all through the 8s before we did everything else. So that leads us to discussion of items since publication of the agenda.
No, wait, we're missing the calendar update.
Oh, calendar update.
This has been we've been all over this agenda, haven't we?
Yeah.
Not done well.
The only, so close. The only item that I have on here for your approval is a calendar update due to our snow days. And, I believe, is the calendar in here? Yes.
Yeah.
So there's one change that I would like to submit.
79, page 79.
Thank you. As to our most recent survey, which was yesterday. So the last time we spoke about calendar, I surveyed the staff because I really needed to know their thoughts and feedback on their availability and kind of which direction to go. It was resoundingly strong that they wanted to take the holiday we would had scheduled for President's Day in February, take that for one day, and then take the days after Memorial in May to finish out that month and try to avoid taking any of our intercession or spring break. Since we've now added one more day, the proposal to you is that we take March 1st, which is currently a parent-teacher conference day, use that as an instructional day, and then the principals and I discussed this, they will schedule their parent-teacher conferences with their team during after-school times throughout the week. And so they will work hard to not overlap, but this is our last attempt to not touch our intercession or spring break.
So February 19th and March 1st.
February 19th, March 1st, and then we had already positioned May 28th through 31st as our snow days. So we were just using those. So those are our 6 days that we've used so far, and hopefully we won't have to use any more.
Okay. All right, do we discuss this? Anyone have a problem or concern? All right, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. All right, now we're on to item number 9, discussion of items since publication of the agenda. Anyone have anything?
There's no additional items.
Okay, do we have a need for executive session?
I don't unless you guys do.
Anybody? No? All right, can I take a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night. Thank you.